Perhaps you thought the events today would spark a rebellion? Ah, you did. He laughed contemptuously, the sound gouging itself into Isfal's brain. That was never going to happen, my dear. Your little movement was a candle that I encouraged you to light, and now it has gone out, igniting nothing. He knelt and looked her in the face. His eyes were as empty as a corpse's. Nothing. He stood, looking down on her. Lord Vader. Behind him, towering and dark, Vader ignited his lightsaber. Isfal heard her death in the sizzle of its blade. The tears in her eyes dried, replaced by defiance, by anger, by hope kindled in the knowledge that Cham at least had escaped, that the fire of rebellion had not gone out because he carried it. She stared up at Vader, unafraid. I hate you and everything you stand for, she said. But when I murdered out of love. Vader raised his blade, his breathing loud and steady. When he spoke, his voice was as deep and hollow as a funeral gong.
I know precisely what you mean.
He slashed. Her decapitated body fell at Vader's feet. He deactivated his blade. There's work for that yet, my friend, the Emperor said, nodding at the hilt of Vader's blade.
Master?
The villagers, Lord Vader. Drua and her people. We can't allow so many witnesses to live. I'll wait for you here. Vader looked from his master to the dark mouth of the mine, inside of which Drua and the rest of the villagers had fled. He felt the Emperor's eyes on him, the intensity of the gaze, the weight of his expectations. And Vader knew that the day's events had been only half about depleting a rebel movement before it could grow. They had also, as Vader had suspected, been about testing him, forcing him to face the ghosts of his past and exorcise them forever and fully. He saw that more clearly now. Saw too that his master was right to administer the test. It also explained why his master had shown so little of his true power throughout the day. Perhaps he'd wanted Vader to rely on himself to overcome the challenges they'd faced. Or perhaps he'd wanted to seem weaker than he was, to draw out any treacherous ambitions Vader may have held.
I hear, and I obey, Master.
He ignited his lightsaber and strode toward the cave, his mind drifting back to another day. A day when he strode into the Jedi Temple filled with nothing but younglings. He'd slaughtered them then, and he would slaughter the Twi'leks now. His master's laughter followed him into the cave, and it lingered in his mind, louder even than the screams of the Twi'leks as they began to die by his blade. When it was done, he returned to his master's side. Well done, old friend, Darth Sidious said. He wiped his hands as if to clean them of dirt. And now, let's move on to more important things.